Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be doing a set review for Mega Brave. So yeah, this is one half of Mega Evolution. I would love to do the full set review, but I just don't have it in me, and my editing software, for some reason, doesn't like it when I splice set review videos together for some reason. So yeah, it's just going to have to be Mega Brave for today. And the first evolution line that we can take a look at here is Venusaur, and the very first card that we can actually talk about is Bulbasaur, just because it has the attack Bind Down, which can actually retreat lock your opponent's active Pokemon. So, assuming that you play Relicanth in your Venusaur deck, then it will absolutely be possible to do this in the mid to late game with a Venusaur active. And, a 308 HP version of Maractus that can retreat lock is quite scary. So, yeah, I definitely think this Bulbasaur is worth playing. Yeah, the whole evolution line is kind of interesting. Like, not being able to use Puffin on Bulbasaur is a bit of a shame, but you do have Bug Catcher set, as well as bug catcher sets like the main way of finding grass Pokemon. But you do also have like a lot of other support now from these sets, like the Meganium that we'll look at in tomorrow's video for Mega Symphonia. That Meganium basically provides 2 grass energy when your grass energy is attached. So Venusaur will only need 2 grass energy on it with the Meganium in play in order to use Jungle Dump, which is quite terrifying. So yeah, Jungle Dump does 240 damage, and you get to heal 30 damage from this Pokemon, so quite respectable. And then the ability Solar Trance just lets you move around as many grass energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. So, yeah, honestly, seems very solid. Like, the damage isn't quite there to be dealing with, like, other EX Pokemons and Megas, and we'll see a lot of Megas in this set review in the next one that can, like, want to clear each other. So that's, like, one downside to consider with Venusaur. But I think overall this is a very solid card, I would say. It's a very solid card. Like, it's nothing too crazy and broken, nothing terrible, I would say. I would say this card is a long way off being bad or anything. Definitely very playable, a lot of different ways to build it as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to Mega Venusaur EX. Also the Pokemon with the most HP, so we'll have to see if this gets broken anytime soon. But yeah, we'll see. Then we have an Execute. It is worth mentioning, if you intend on playing an Executor deck, just remember that there is an Execute that has an attack that lets it evolve. Even on the first turn going first, you can actually just attack with it. So, yeah, definitely play that Execute over this one. But this Executor has the attack Wood Stomp for 3 colorless energy, does 60 damage, and this attack does 30 more damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. So usually I wouldn't bring up this kind of card, but we do, of course, have that Meganium that's coming around. So you will only need 2 grass energy to trigger Wood Stomp, and then that would be doing, what's that? 180 damage, which isn't too bad. Like, definitely gets you a one shot on Grimmsnarl and Charizard. And the only problem is you kind of need to find a way of attaching those grass energy because Executors are very fragile. So you'll get the first one going, no doubt, but after that you'll have to find a way of like keeping the energy in play, maybe with like EXP share or something. But I suppose like this Execute can find energy attached to itself. You got TM, Turbo Energize, like maybe Crispin or something. That seems a bit weird. Like, there's definitely going to be ways to play this though, which is cool. So yeah, Executor Meganium is going to be a budget deck from the set, I guess. Then we have a Celebi, which I did actually talk about in a recent card reveal video. But I do think this is definitely more of a GLC piece, especially this guy as well, actually. Like, definitely a GLC piece, not really good enough for standard. Then we have a new Shiftry line. Sadly, Shiftry is being done dirty in this set. I don't think this is a very good card. The artwork is lovely. I do like the art. But yeah, that first attack, flip a coin, shuffle something in, it's not very good, sadly. So yeah, I don't think Shiftry will be seeing any play. Maybe more of a cube kind of card. Then we get to Ninetales, which does have an interesting attack. Like, if the top card of your deck is a supporter, you can use it as the effect of this attack. So maybe you play like a lot of Disruption. Again, maybe in something like Cube or GLC, this could be quite interesting. I don't think it's quite enough for standard right now in control decks, but maybe in the future this could crop up somewhere. Then we have a new Mel with 8 HP, so we'll have to use Precious Trolley if we want to play a Mega Camera Up deck, which is my most anticipated Mega from the set, which is, I know, like, kind of crazy to a lot of people because I know there's not a lot of Camera to believers out there. This one has some really fun attacks, like Roasting Heat can do 240 damage if your opponent's active is burned. And we do, of course, have that Volcarona from the recent Black Bolt set, I want to say, like White Flare or Black Bolt, that can just discard a fire energy from your hand to leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned. So at that point, you're actually doing 260 if you factor in the burn damage, which is cool. And then Volcano Meteor does 280 for a fire and an ignition energy, basically. Then you can just discard the ignition energy. So I would say this is a very solid Mega overall. Like, again, nothing broken, nothing too crazy. I really like most of the design on these megas. Like, they don't feel super overtuned, at least yet. Not yet, you know? Like, we might see a broken mega yet. Like, Mega Rayquaza could be broken, or like Mega Greninja, I guess. But Mega Camerupt, to be honest, looks pretty decent overall. So, definitely looking forward to playing Mega Camerupt when it comes out. Volcanion looks to be more of a cube piece. I don't think this thing will see play in GLC. Like, it could be a nice way of conserving energy in a deck, but unless you're just starting out with GLC, then I don't think this Volcanion is very good. I will say though, the artwork is lovely. I do like this artwork a lot, but yeah, sadly the attacks are nothing too crazy. Then we get to a new Cinderace line, and due to the nature of this Cinderace, I don't think Raboot or Scorbunny will see any play. But if you do want to play like a Cinderace EX deck and you don't have a Scorbunny or Raboot yet, then that's a plus for you. But yeah, this Cinderace has 160 HP and has a very powerful ability Explosiveness, which basically just means you can put it face down as a basic Pokemon on the first turn of the game when you're setting up, which is really cool. And that'll allow you to use Flare Turbo, assuming you want to go second. So for colorless, you do 50 damage and you search your deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. And we'll see a lot in this video that a bunch of the Megas just have these really awkward attack costs. I mean, like, even we were talking about earlier, that Executor that needs a load of grass energy to attack with. It's the same sort of thing. So, yeah, I could definitely see the Cinderace being used. Of course, it's a dead card if you don't start the game with it, but if you run 4 copies, it's still like a decent chance to start with it. So, yeah, I still think this Cinderace will see some sort of use. I'll definitely be trying it out with Camerupt for sure, but aside from that, maybe Abomasnow EX, actually, Mega Abomasnow, but yeah, I'll have to see. Seems like a pretty solid card, though, overall. Then we see a Corphish, all on its lonesome, just no Crawdaunt yet. We'll have to wait until the end of the video. Then we have a Gimmighoul, which, yeah, Gimmighoul definitely said that in the anime. Then we have a Sandshrew, it's looking kind of fine. We've got a Sand Slash. Sand Attack is not very good. I really wish they'd give us a good Sand Slash. We just have not had one in the TCG yet, I don't think, so that's a bit of a shame. Then we get to Onyx. Onyx is terrible, but there is a funny Steelix that we can look at the end of the video, so, yet another Pokemon that evolves into a different type. Then we have another baby Pokemon, actually, Tyrogue, which is cool to see. 30 HP again, a free attack, bam, bam, smash. Does 10 damage, flip a coin to get tails, and you do 30 more for each heads. I think this is atrocious, but, if you really want to get a measure of how bad this card is, like, you'd have to flip 2 heads to do the same damage as Fan Rotom does, and Fan Rotom is very, very easy to pull off turn 1 going second. Like, yeah, you need a stadium, but I just think that's way easier than flipping 2 heads every time. So, yeah, I don't think Tyrogue is very good. If we ever get a way to modify coin flips, then maybe, I guess, because we have, like, Premium Power Pro, so maybe there's an argument, but I think you just want to save your Premium Power Pros for your, like, much bigger Pokemon that are doing meaningful damage. So, yeah, I don't think Tyrogue is very good, sadly. Then we have Makuhita, is that how you pronounce it? This guy, the sumo wrestler. Then we have Hariyama, which is actually a really good card. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a pre-release promo or something, but it is a very good card. Has the ability Sumo Catcher, so when it evolves, you can switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon, so there is a running theory that we are actually losing boss's orders to rotation, which is kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, this ability will be probably very useful, especially if you play Reverse Energy in your deck, because Wild Press does 210 damage for 3 fighting energy, and then 70 damage to itself. But yeah, I definitely think this card will see play with things like Lucario, so yeah, it seems very playable overall, because you can just, like, gust up a Pheasantipity, one-shot it, that sort of thing. So yeah, even if it's just for knocking out Pheasantipity, I still think this card will see play. So yeah, it seems very strong overall. Then we get to see some very powerful fighting type support in the form of Lunatone. So if you have a Solrock in play, you can discard a basic fighting energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. It's a very good draw engine for GLC, so fighting types finally have some good draw power. You do need a Solrock in play, but the Solrock's, like, not awful in GLC, like 70 damage for 1 energy, and you have to have Lunatone on the bench, but sadly, you don't hit for weakness or resistance, which is a bit of a shame. Like, you'd definitely want to hit for weakness on some things, but I think overall this is definitely a good thing for GLC. It's also might be just good enough to make, like, a small draw engine for Lucario, especially considering you have synergy with Mega Lucario's attack that can also accelerate energy from the discard pile. So yeah, I definitely think this could be a really solid draw engine. Maybe it's like a 2-2 line for a Mega Lucario. So yeah, definitely looking forward to trying this out in Mega Lucario. Then we have, Mega Lucario. It is also worth mentioning that you would think you would need like nest balls to find these guys, and nest ball to find 8 HP Riolo, but there is actually an item card that we'll talk about at the end as well that can search your deck for basic fighting type Pokemon or basic fighting type energy, which is great synergy for these cards. So yeah, it'll definitely be easy to find these Pokemon as well. So yeah, Riolo will be able to find it with that item that we just mentioned. It also does 30 damage for 1 energy. So you can KO things like Budew if you really wanted to, which is nice. And then we get to Mega Lucario EX. Honestly, one of the better cards I would say from the set. If you don't know what this card does, basically for 1 energy, it does 130 damage, and then you get to attach up to 3 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon any way you like. So you can set up just other Lucarios basically. And then Mega Brave does 270 for 2 energy, and next turn you can't use Mega Brave. But we do have that premium power pro that we need to talk about. So yeah, that's going to give your fighting type Pokemon plus 30 damage. So yeah, I do think Mega Lucario is really solid overall. It's got Hariyama, it's got Soda Rock, it's got those new items. Yeah, seems really solid overall, I would say. You could run Marshadow, but honestly, I think this Marshadow is a bit too niche and definitely more of a GLC piece overall. It just doesn't seem quite strong enough for standard. Stonejourner, I think, is equally well. Stonejourner's worse actually. Yeah, it's a bit bad actually. Yeah, okay. Stonejourner's not very good. Moving on, we've got Gorgankle, which is always nice to see this evolution line, but he has been getting a lot of attention lately. I will say that, and there's some Pokemon that could maybe deserve some more attention in the TCG, and Gorgankle gets a lot of cards, but this one does increase your fighting type attacks by plus 30 damage, so you could always view this as a plus 30 damage modifier for Lucario, which is kind of cool. But overall, I think being a stage 2 really holds it back. Like, I think this would have to be like 2 Nacli, 2 Gorgankle, and 2 Red Candy in the deck or something. And maybe you get away with it because you have Hilda, but I think overall it's not quite worth it, sadly. But, maybe it is worth it, and maybe it's good for Mamoswine, but I'm not really feeling it for this card right now. Then we have a Crawdont to go with that Crawfish from earlier. Has the attack of Vengeful Scissors, does 130. If it has any damage counters on it, this attack can be used for Dark Energy. To be honest, I don't think this guy is very good, sadly, just because you would need to 3-shot Megas, which does not feel good. Yeah, you'd have to 3-shot a Mega, which feels really bad. Like, you could get you could get like a Silver Bangle involved, but then even then it wouldn't be a 2-shot against most of them. So yeah, that just seems really rough in this day and age. It's a bit of a shame. There is a new stadium coming out that says whenever you bench anything that's not a dog type, put 2 damage counters on it. So that could be one way to make up the damage difference. You could KO like stage 2 EXs at that point, but overall I don't think Crawdon is quite doing enough damage, sadly. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Then we get to Mega Absol. To be honest, I don't think this card is like super great or anything, but it's at least interesting. So if your opponent's active Pokemon has at least 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is just flat out KO'd. So of course everyone immediately thinks of Crispin, Monkey Dory, Frostlass, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, do you really want to do that if it has 280 HP and it gives up 3 prize cards? Like, it is a wee bit risky. I think this will definitely be a good tech card for something at some point. And if we ever get like Dark Patch or a supporter that can charge up energy to Megas, then I think this could be really good. But right now, I don't think it has enough. Like, if we ever see an ability that just flat out charges energies to Megas, then we do need to revisit this card, I think. But overall, right now, I don't think it's quite enough for it to be good. So, yeah, it's interesting. It gets points for being very cool, but I think overall, it's not quite enough to be a deck, yeah. Then we get to one of my favorite single prizes that got revealed. This is going to be Spiritomb. Now, Spiritomb has an annoying amount of HP. I think they did this deliberately, so you won't be able to pop in multiple of them out, because its ability says, whenever your active Dark Pokemon is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 1 damage counter on the attacking Pokemon. So I think what they were trying to do with this is, have like an obvious synergy here, except it's not really that obvious, because even if you were to put 4 damage counters on them attacking you, for example, then, it would be really weird, because then, yeah, you would have to survive, then you'd have to find like 2 damage counters from somewhere. It's a bit weird. But yeah, I think overall though, this could be really cool. It also doesn't seem to specify that it can't stack, so I'm going to assume for the time being that you can play like 4 of these onto the bench and it would trigger 4 times, which is hilarious. So it's kind of like a mini Vengeful Punch that you can just bench, which is hilarious. But yeah, I definitely want to try this out in something. I'm not sure what to play it in just yet. I think Assyrian Samurott and Expanded could be quite fun. But as it stands right now in Standard, I'm not sure about any Dark types that would be good with this. But, do let me know down below if you can think of anything. But it does seem like a lot of fun. And like, okay, maybe this with Crawdund. That's going to make up the rest of the damage, perhaps. Yeah, that could be fun, actually. Yeah, maybe that's how we play this deck. Crawdund Spiritomb. But yeah, overall, kind of a very fun attack, though. Then we have Yveltal, rather fun ability, I should say. Then we have Yveltal, which has the attack clutch. So again, we're seeing retreat lock again, like we just had Rakdos, come on. But, free retreat. So I guess this is like the one that was around in the Sword and Shield era that did similar things. But I don't think this Yveltal will see that much use outside of Dark-type decks. Then we have a new Nickit and Thievel. I don't think Thievel is very good, from what I remember. Nope, Thievel is terrible. That's a bit sad. Then we have a new Graffifi, which it can flip a coin of heads. You can get to choose any special condition, so you could, in theory, just Polaris lock your opponent if they don't play switches, which is really funny. So, like, maybe there's a deck to be had out of this, like a bit of a bad deck Friday kind of thing with Reverse Energy and Crispin, but overall, not really feeling it for competitive Standard. Then we have a Steelix, which I think is quite funny, actually. 2 colorless energy, 40 damage. If you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, this attack does 200 more damage. So what you could do, if you really wanted to, going second, turn 1, you could Salvatore into a Steelix and then use an Ignition Energy and swing for 240. If you really wanted to. I don't think that's going to be very good. But if you really wanted to, it's at least an option, right? And it's quite funny. So it's sort of like a pseudo donk deck, except you have to go second to make it work. It's a bit bad, but like it could be a lot of fun, I think. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Steelix. It seems like a lot of fun. Then we get to Mega Marwal EX, which its most notable attack for 2 metal energy does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken, which can be quite scary. Like, I think there's maybe potential for this in Archaladon, but it would have to be, in something like Archaladon or Metang, because otherwise there's no real way to get 2 metal energy on this Pokemon. Like, you really need good energy acceleration to survive in this day and age, the Pokemon TCG. But yeah, it's a very strong attack overall, I would say. It's just very much dependent on, you actually taking prize cards and winning the game. So it's not going to be its own thing. Like, it's not going to be its own deck. That's just not going to happen, really. But I think overall it's a nice tech card for Duraludon, sure. So yeah, that's kind of cool, at least. Then we have a Dialga, which I think is rubbish. Straight to GLC or Cube. Like, there's even a better Dialga in GLC already, actually, from Celebration. So, okay, maybe not even GLC. That's a bit sad. Maybe we create an alternate format to make this Dialga playable. But yeah, it's a bit sad. Yeah, not very good. Then we have a new Tinkerton line. Tinkertuff is kind of mediocre, actually. Flip a coin of heads, discard energy. That's not terrible. It's like Crushing Hammer button ability, but it's a stage 1. You have to reset every time you want to trigger it again. Then Tinkerton, I think, is just rubbish. Like 240 and 60 less damage for each energy attached to opponent's active Pokemon. Really? That is not enough damage in this day and age, not when we have Megas now. So yeah, I only think these cards will get worse as well once we get like actual good Megas, like Mega Rayquaza. So yeah, I don't think Tinkerton will be very good. Then we have Goldengo, which is like another one of these pseudo control pieces, maybe for GLC, but I don't think it will be anything for Standard. He also seems to be just surfing through the grass, which is kind of funny. But yeah, aside from that, Goldengo not very good, I don't think. Then we have a Spearow that can discard all 2 cards. That's kind of nice. But it's worth mentioning there is a really good Spearow from 151 that can just evolve going second. So, do bear that in mind if you want to play this Spearow, which says flip 5 coins and you do 30 damage for each heads. So fun fact for the day is what I meant to say there. Fun fact of the day, there used to be a Sea King in the Sun and Moon era. Right, the Sun and Moon era. That said, if this Pokemon has a tool card attached to it, flip 6 coins and you do 30 damage for each heads. They printed a worse Sea King, despite Sea King coming from the Sun and Moon era, which is like 2 generations ago, because this is supposed to be like the new era. This is not even supposed to be Scarlet and Violet anymore. Like, really? Giving us a worse Sea King? Not sure how to feel about this, and it's not hitting weakness on anything, which sucks. Like, I would still say this is at least worth trying out as a fun budget deck, just because we have that Spearow that can evolve, like turn 1 going second, but the fact they gave us a worse Sea King, like, yeah, just sucks really, but, I like it. It's coin flips, it'll be fun, but, yeah, bit miffed at that. Then we have a mill tank. Flip 2 coins at both heads, heal damage from one of your Pokemon. Don't think this is going to be seeing play unless we see a double colorless reprint. Then we have a Gumshoes that is actually playable, which is cool. Has the ability Gather Evidence. Once your turn, you may use this ability and switch a card from your hand with the top card of your deck. Slowking, anyone? Anyone still play Slowking? It's another stage 1 line that you have to fit into your deck, but honestly, a lot easier to set up compared to something like just finding the stadium. What is it? Academy at Night? That was quite an annoying stadium to have to find every game with Slowking. So, the fact that you have a stage 1 that can be quite easily found with Rotom as well, that's another thing. And that's really cool. So, this could be another buff for Slowking, hopefully. Then we get to the trainers, and we do have this 1 Iron Defender, so during your next turn, all of your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage from attacks. I think this is really solid for our Chaladon. It has 300 HP, it's a 2-prize Pokemon, very solid stats overall. I think Iron Defender could be really good for that. So maybe we'll see a more tanky, defensive, disruption-focused version of our Chaladon coming around. But yeah, quite a good item, I would say. Premium Power Pro, we've talked about a lot already on this channel. But yeah, your fighting type Pokemon do plus 30 damage. So yeah, it's just a very good card. It will see play. Like this with Mega Lucario. Tasty. I'm not so sure about Cynthia's Garchomp, just because deck space is quite tight in that one already. And, Roserade is a permanent buff that's on the bench and is a stage 1. So I'm not really sure how to feel about this with Cynthia's Garchomp just yet. But maybe I'll just have to give it a go and be convinced otherwise. However, Fighting Gong will definitely see play in these sorts of decks. The fact that you can just find a basic Lunatone, Solrock, or Riolu that has 8 HP, yeah, very, very strong item. I expect this to see a lot of play. It's basically just Fall Crystal, right? But for fighting types. So, yeah, Fighting Gong, very good. Then we have Repel, which might see play, actually, if Boss's Orders does rotate. So, that's something to bear in mind if you have, old copies of Repel from Sun and Moon. So, yeah, Repel might actually see play for once, but we'll see. Maybe not, but it is kind of cool. Then we get to one of the most bonkers supporter cards I've seen in years. Ask your opponent if both players may draw a prize card. If yes, both players draw a prize card. If no, you just draw 4 cards. This is an insane supporter. It's not broken in the sense that it will, ruin the game or anything. But it's broken in the sense that you're just sitting there, right? You're just casually sitting there on, the first turn of the game going second. And you're just sitting there oh, would you mind if I take a prize card and you also get a prize card? And your opponent's just yeah, sure. So you both draw a prize card, and it's just that easy. It's surreal to me that you could just play a supporter now and you get a prize card for it. So that's kind of crazy. Of course, your opponent doesn't always have to do this. They can just say no, and then you draw 4 cards. But, both players get a prize. That is kind of crazy. So this with Dusclops and things like Budew and stuff, that's going to be really fun to see. So yeah, I think the supporter will see play at some point. It's kind of a weird effect, but I do think it's a strong one. So yeah, very, very scary supporter. I'm not sure what happens with Lieutenant Surge, the one that says you can play 2 supporters in a turn. What happens there? Do you just take 2 prize cards? Yeah, overall a very very crazy supporter. Then we get to Lily's Determination, which I think is another really good card for Venusaur actually. Shuffle your hand to your deck, then draw 6. If you have 6 prize cards remaining, shuffle your hand to your deck and draw 8. A very, very good effect. It is just better Cynthia from Sun and Moon. I loved Cynthia back in the day. I'm so glad that single prize decks as well just have a natural shuffle draw 6 to have throughout the entire game. Just makes decks way more consistent. So yeah, really happy to see Lily's Determination in the format. It's really good. But yeah, the shuffle draw 8 will be really nice as well for Venusaur. That's very combo heavy and needs a lot of pieces. Camerupt as well, actually. That needs a lot of pieces. So yeah, Lily's Determination, helping out the little guys, which is cool. Then we've the last card in the set, we've got Dangerous Ruins. Whenever either player puts a non-dark Pokemon onto their bench, that's a basic, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So yeah, we kind of talked about Crawdaunt because Crawfish is a water type in this set. But yeah, I do think this card is pretty solid. I suppose it's meant to help with Mega Absol. Oh wait, that's what they're doing. So I guess you put 4 Spiritomb on the bench, and then you play a Dangerous Ruins. And at that point, your opponent will have 6 damage counters on them to KO them with Mega Absol. Oh, I see how it's supposed to go. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be very good, but it could be a fun meme deck to try out, right? Mega Absol, Spiritomb with Dangerous Ruins. That could be fun. But yeah, let me know what you think about these card reveals down below. Is there anything in particular that really excites you? And yeah, thank you for watching.